Alright, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to back up your n8n workflows, including your credentials. A few folks from the community have asked about this, and I've also seen a ton of people online wondering how to safely back up their credentials. Honestly, I think most of the methods out there are a bit, let's say, creative. So today, I'll walk you through the right way to do it, complete with version control built into your workflow. We'll be using Git, which is a tool developers use to keep track of changes in their code. Think of it like taking snapshots of your work at different moments in time. It's perfect for our end-to-end workflows too. If something ever goes wrong, you can roll back to a previous version with confidence, knowing your workflows and your credentials are safe. And the best part? We'll set this up to run on a schedule so it's hands-off once it's set up. Alright, here's what we'll be building today. The core of this setup is a workflow that starts with here. You can schedule this to run daily, weekly, or however often you like. First, it sets your credentials. Then it checks if a Git repository already exists with your data. If it doesn't, it is created. Next, it backs up your workflows and your credentials. After that, it uses Git commands to add everything to version control. It commits the changes and pushes them straight to your Git repository. Now, let me show you how to build this step by step. First, head over to Github. If you don't already have an account, go ahead and sign up. It's quick and easy. Just fill out the form, confirm your email, and log in. Once you're in, you'll land on your GitHub dashboard, ready to get started. From here, click the Create Repository button. Now, give your repository a name. I'm going to call mine n8n Backups. Make sure to set it to private. You definitely don't want to share this with the whole world. This is your personal backup space. Once that's set, go ahead and click on Create Repository. While we're here, let's grab our API key. Click on your profile icon, then go to Settings. Scroll down to Developer Settings, then head to Tokens, Classic. Click Generate Token. Choose Generate Classic and give it a name. I'm naming mine n8n Backups. Next, select only the permissions you need for this to work, just the right repository access. Then scroll down and click Create Token. Once it's generated, copy that token right away and keep it somewhere safe. We'll be using it shortly, and you won't be able to see it again. Alright, first things first. Let's start with the Schedule trigger. Choose Schedule, and for now, we'll stick with the default setting of 1 day. Next, add a set node. In this node, we're going to define a few variables. First, set the username. Then, add the token you copied earlier. After that, set the repo. This is the name you gave your repository when you created it. And lastly, enter the email you used when you created your GitHub account. Next, add an execute command node. This one's pretty special. It lets you run commands directly on the server. For our first step, we want to check if the repository is already set up. To do that, we'll run ls.git. This checks for the presence of the .git directory. Go ahead and test the step to make sure everything's working. Oh, and one more thing. Head over to the settings of the execute command node. Click on Always Output Data and then select Continue. This ensures that if an error occurs, the execution will not stop the whole workflow. Alright, now click out of that node and add an if node. We're going to use this to check if there was an error. If there's an error, it means the Git repository doesn't exist yet, so we'll move forward with creating it. Otherwise, we'll skip that step and go straight to archiving our files. Just drag over the error output, set the condition to check if the string exists, and then click Test to see it in action. Alright, let's tackle the toughest part first. On the true branch of the if node, add another execute command node. Now, head over to the school community page under Courses, grab that block of code, and paste it into this node. Here's what the script does. It's actually pretty slick. First, It sets up your Git credentials as environment variables. If you skip this step, Git will reject the push for security reasons. Then, it initializes a new Git repository, configures your username and email, creates a README file, commits the changes, sets the main branch, adds the magic link for authentication, and finally pushes everything to your GitHub repository. Alright, to continue. Notice how everything's showing up in red? That's because the node can't find the fields. I forgot to name the edit fields node. The code here is looking for a node called setValues. Let me fix that real quick. Now, just change item to first. Then go ahead and copy and paste the rest. All right, everything's pulling in properly now. Okay, now let's move to the false branch of the if statement. This means that if the repository already exists, we don't need to create it again. We can jump straight into the backup process. Add another execute command node here. In this one, we're going to export the workflows. Just head back to the school community, copy that snippet of code, or type it out if you prefer, and paste it into this node. Let's rename these nodes to keep things clear. Name this one Check for Repo, the next one Create New Repo, and this one Export Workflows. Now, connect the output of Create New Repo into the input of Export Workflows. Okay, now that we've created the export for workflows, we officially have a backup of our workflows. Let's do the same thing for our credentials. So add another export credential node, head over to the school community, copy that line of code, and paste it in here. While we're in here, let's rename this node to Export Credentials, then click out of it. And don't forget to hit Save. Okay, great stuff. We've now successfully created a new repo and backed up both workflows and credentials. Next step, let's add those backups to the Git repo and commit the changes. First, add another execute command node and paste in the code provided. This will take the folder named repo, the one we created earlier, and add it to the Git repository. Then, add another execute command node for the commit. Paste in the corresponding code here as well. What this does is commit our changes with a comment like auto backed up along with the current date. That way, when you check your repos later, you'll know exactly when each backup was made. And once again, a bit of housekeeping. Rename this node to Git add, and the next one to Git commit. Then save your work. All right, the final step. Now that everything's packaged up and ready to go on our local server, we need to send it all off to our Git repository. Add one last execute command node, paste in the final piece of code, and we're all set. Just rename this to Git push. Go ahead and click Test Workflow. As you can see, since the repo didn't exist, it triggered the Create Repo node to spin one up for us before backing up anything. Now let's hop over to GitHub and give the page a refresh. And there it is, your brand new repo folder. Inside you'll find our credentials and workflows, all nicely organized and backed up to the Git repository. Let's go ahead and rename this workflow to something more fitting and save it. Now let's test an update. I'm going to open one of my workflows. Let's use this one. You'll see it's called n8n backups. Now let's head back to n8n, find that workflow and rename it. Let's call it old one for now. Next, we'll go back to our new version and run it again. As you can see, it didn't trigger the new endpoint this time, because the repo already exists. Instead, it just performed an update. Let's refresh the page. And there it is. All your changes, safely backed up to the cloud in your Git repository. Alright, that's it for this video. If you're not already part of our community, come join us. It's completely free. You'll find this template, along with all the prompts and code from the course page, right there in the courses section. Just take a look. There's plenty more to explore and download. Thanks for sticking around to the end. If you found this helpful or it sparked some ideas for your own automation journey, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps more productivity enthusiasts discover these time-saving techniques. Until next time, keep automating the boring stuff. I'll see you in the next video.